Hello everybody, and thanks for joining me. We're going to look through these two Traveler's Notebook inserts that I've just finished. This first one here is Thumbelina. They both have sort of a fairy tale, like magical type feel to them. These are standard sized Traveler's Notebooks, and this one has just a sari silk closure here, and then I sort of added a couple, there's like a frilly little foo-foo thingy and also a little piece of upholstery fabric on the cover, and then you have all these fabrics and fibers peeking out the side. So on the inside there's a portrait of this lady, and she has leaves in her hair, and I thought she was a good representative of Thumbelina. So she just kind of sits right in here in the front cover, and it's not a real photograph, but you could do some journaling on the back. And then here's this little hummingbird. Thought he was good because he's a tiny bird, and there's some like silky, like velvety pink, like a fabric tab up there. You're gonna get a vintage photograph, and I thought this one was kind of fitting because of all the plants again. And so this is a love letter to Stanley from a lady named Helen. So you could see here is Helen's bye bye dear from the one who loves you, Helen. And my in-laws visited this weekend, and they brought me this whole box, and it's basically full of love letters, and this is one of Helen's like report cards, but they're all dated from like the mid-20s. Here's a postcard to Stanley, who's one of the ones that she's writing to, and Stanley writes back to her. So this is one of Stanley's letters to Helen. So this is like, it's so super exciting to me, and just reading through them, they're so like cheesy how much they love each other. These love letters are just like legit love letters. I think I'm trying to find, so here's something written to Helen. And there's also in this box that they gave me, there's some photographs of Helen and Stanley, and they eventually have a son. But you can kind of follow along from like some of the letters talk about like when they're first dating, and then like they talk about when they're gonna get married, and she'll write him like please write me a nice long letter when you get aboard the ship. So we're kind of wondering if like maybe he's like Navy or I don't know, for some reason these two people they're not together, but they really love each other. They love each other so much. So the excuse me, the Thumbelina journal has one of those letters, and then the other journal that we're going to look at has a corresponding letter. But anyway, so back to this journal. There's a lot of little like vintage lacy like fabrics here and there. I put some altered paper clips in. This is a cute little journaling card with a little bird and some like berries. There's ledger. There is coffee stained paper in this, but it's just coffee stained copy paper, and the other papers are not coffee stained. In Thumbelina, I thought it was fitting to add this frog card, and it's the actual authentic card. You get this old black and white postcard also. But yeah, in the story of Thumbelina, she meets this toad, so that's why I thought the frog was fitting. There's some upholstery fabric bits. That's some of the Tim Holtz wallpaper. There's a couple flip outs, lots of tuck spots and pockets again. Thumbelina has some book pages from her story, so I think there's like a couple loose book pages throughout the journal. So here's the toad meeting her when she's sleeping in her little walnut. I think he ends up stealing her away. Everybody loves Thumbelina. But yeah, there's a lot of room for journaling and adding your own things and tucking papers. And here's one of Helen's report cards that you get in there. This is a journaling card. Here is, I think in this one, Thumbelina is lost. And here she is on the lily pad and getting carried away by the dragonfly. So, yeah, you get elements to the story in this journal, and I wanted the whole thing to kind of feel sort of like fairy tale and a little bit older. It's different than the last few sets that I've done. But I just wanted it to have sort of like a magical, sort of like used feel, like someone's owned it for a while. So that's where I was going with these two. And these are probably going to be the only two in this like Fairytale set that I make, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have these available in my Etsy shop in just a few hours. I just have to edit the photos and everything. But so this is the fairy prince that ends up meeting Thumbelina, and here they are. They got married, and there's the swallow who befriends Thumbelina at some point in the story. I think that's the last. Oh, my son just gave me my phone. Some more upholstery fabric. So that is Thumbelina. I went kind of darker with her. Her hair's dark, so I thought it would be fitting to kind of go, there's still florals and everything, but they're not like the bright colors that I usually go for. And then this one, on the other hand, this one's way more like prissy princess. There's a lot of like pinks and definitely those florals, and it's more girly, definitely. And I'm calling this one the Princess and the Pea. So here's this image of the lady. Here's a little snippet from the story, and this is the queen. That's when she's putting the pea underneath the princess's mattress to see how sensitive she is. And this is just a page from the book that these came from called Fairytales, and it had just a good collection of the books, and you get some paper tags. Here's an old envelope, and in it I put another one of Helen's report cards, and then there's also another black and white photo, and it's just this lady. So she's like looking at a book, I think, on a beach. So you get those two little dealies in this envelope. There's some that Maggie Holmes scrapbook paper. You get this pretty vintage postcard. It's has a nice texture to it. It's embossed. So it's like, some pink roses, very princessy and girly, and they just go in this little tuck spot right here. Some journaling space. These ruffles here are from another feed sack that I have. It's like a fabric flip out, and that is a vintage sheet, so I thought it went good with the whole story of her bed and not having a good night's sleep. So you get a lot of vintage sheet in this one. Here's the queen hiding the pea under the mattress. So here's a couple embellished paper clips, and this sheet music is handwritten, and I think it's in the other one too. I don't remember actually now that I'm thinking about it, but that's all handwritten music notes. This letter is not from the Stanley and Helen collection, and it was kind of hard for me to decipher. But you do get, there's a few pages in here, and it's just, this one's pretty old. I don't remember the date exactly, but it's old. I think it might be older than the Helen and Stanley letters. So I think each journal comes with two sets of letters. So this is just some more space for journaling, and I stitched a little excerpt from the story up there in the corner. Here's the other side of that sheet music, some more journaling space. This is from a little pocketbook from the 20s, so I give you 2 sheets of that, some coffee dyed paper, double-sided scrapbook paper. This is a little journaling card that also has a pocket, so any little ephemera or whatever you have, you could stick right in there and right on the back. And then I ran out of Princess and the Pea paper, so I went with the Ugly Duckling instead. And this is when the Ugly Duckling finds out that he's actually a swan, so that's like the end of the story there. And then here's the belly band, and this is the other letter. This is Stanley's letter to Helen. So the other one had a letter from Helen. This one's a letter from Stanley, and it's all just full of mushy, gooey, love stuff. And you get this black and white postcard, and this one, and when all the Helen and Stanley letters, by the way, they didn't have a lot of envelopes. So someone had just taken the letters out, and they used the envelopes, I guess, for some art project or something. So those letters are just free in the journals. This is a nice little piece of vintage sheet, so you could staple it on the sides if you wanted and make little fabric tabs, or you could do some more embellished paper clips, or use it on another project. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted with that, but I thought it'd be nice to have a little snippet. And then this journal closes up with this another vintage sheet. So the other one's Sari Silk, and this one you get the sheet. But yeah, I'm gonna put these in my shop today in probably just a few hours. So I'll make the announcement on Instagram when they're ready. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Catch y'all next time.